revealed how one kind black boy's heartwarming gesture changed a paralyzed girl's life forever. On a sun-drenched afternoon, while children laughed and colors burst from easels at the annual community art fair, 12-year-old Jamal spotted Sarah's artwork through her window. Her vibrant paintings washed in hues of hope instantly mesmerized him. Yet, they were locked away, pieces of her heart hidden from the world. Jamal felt his chest tighten. He could see the isolation weighing on her spirit, like a shadow with no escape. It wasn't fair. Jamal came from a family that struggled to make ends meet. Each day was a lesson in resilience, taught straight from his mother's sacrifice. It didn't matter if his own world felt small and cluttered with worries. He believed kindness could shine through. Standing in front of Sarah's house, an idea ignited in his heart: a neighborhood art fundraiser. He envisioned laughter and creativity swirling together, bringing the community to life as they turned their gazes towards Sarah's talent. First, excitement bubbled around him as his friends jumped in, spreading the word. "Let us do it for Sarah," someone shouted, and the idea morphed into a movement. The streets lit up with chatter, dreams of what the event would mean. But not everyone felt that warmth. Whispers grazed his ears, doubts bloomed like weeds in the cracks. Why would he care? Just a kid trying to get attention, they murmured, voices laced with something heavier than just skepticism. Jamal's heart sank. Did his skin color have anything to do with their whispers? It shouldn't matter. Didn't kindness know no bounds? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that is happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As the event date dragged closer, miscommunication twisted the air thick with tension. Some suggested, with fierce glances, that he was using Sarah's story. Jamal felt the weight of their judgment pressing down on him, and doubt began to infiltrate his once unstoppable spirit. He remembered his mother's stories of injustice, the drumming heartbeat of perseverance trailing behind her. So he fought back the uncertainty. The night before the event, Jamal could see Sarah through the window, her face pale, eyes wide with fear that swallowed the light. He could hear her heart beating faster than the bustling city outside. They stood on the cusp of something, carrying burdens that felt too great for their young shoulders. Would the community unite for them, or let the past's shadows dictate their future? With a sharp breath, Jamal stepped forward into the mystery of tomorrow. Would they lean in to support Sarah's dreams, or back away, clinging to fear? Only time would tell, as their worlds would soon collide in this colorful tapestry of love, art, and friendship. But the question lingered just above the horizon. Had they the courage to embrace change? Morning light spilled gently across the neighborhood, cascading through the windows as the day of the art fundraiser dawned. Jamal's heart raced, each beat echoing his excitement and nerves. The streets were already alive with anticipation. Banners fluttered above his head, colorful reminders of what they had all come together to achieve. As Jamal approached the fairgrounds, he spotted familiar faces: friends, neighbors, and even families from down the block. Their smiles broke through the remaining clouds of doubt, lifting his spirits. A small crowd was gathering around the makeshift stage, laughter and chatter harmonizing into a beautiful chorus of hope. He took a deep breath, scanning the space for Sarah. Her presence felt vital, a lighthouse guiding him through the storm of uncertainty. Suddenly, there she was, wheeling herself in with the help of her father. The sight filled him with warmth. She wore a simple, yet profound smile, one that suggested she might actually believe in this day, despite everything that had held her back. "Sarah, over here," Jamal called out, waving his hands. When their eyes met, a spark of understanding flickered between them, a connection formed in the shared weight of their struggles. "Jamal," she said softly, her voice wrapped in the vulnerability of her journey. "Are you really ready for all this?" He nodded, his heart swelling. "It's not just your art that matters. It's your voice, and I want everyone to hear it." In the backdrop, Janice, an older neighbor, hurried over, clutching a clipboard with a list of volunteers. "All right, Jamal, we need to get you on the mic," she urged, A mix of excitement and determination etched on her features. "And Sarah, we want you to showcase your work." Jamal felt the clouds of uncertainty disperse, replaced by flickers of energy. But just as they prepared to kick off the event, Jamal noticed a group of boys he recognized from the neighborhood lurking nearby. They watched, smirks etched across their faces. He caught snippets of their whispers. "Look at him, trying to save the day," one sneered. Jamal's stomach twisted. It stung deeper than he wanted to admit, but he remembered why they were here. Sarah was counting on him. The community needed this. He steeled himself and took the stage, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we celebrate art and the power of community. Let us do something special for Sarah." Cheers erupted, and as he introduced the event, the energy was contagious. Sarah wheeled closer, her confidence shining as she found her place beside him. They unveiled her artwork, a kaleidoscope of colors that seemed to breathe life and hope. Gasps filled the air, the vibrancy captivated their imaginations. But just as they began to circulate around Sarah's creations, doubts resurfaced in Jamal's mind. Would these folks truly stand by him? Would they let go of their preconceptions, embracing the spirit of compassion? The whispers grew faint, yet their shadows still loomed large as the day went on. Laughter echoed through the area. Families joined in, painting, creating, and sharing stories, pieces of themselves laid bare on the community blanket. They were united, if only for a moment. But would this last? Then, as Jamal glanced at Sarah, he noticed something, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. What if the acceptance they craved faded the moment the sun set? Would this support be ephemeral or solidify into a foundation they could stand on together? With every vibrant brushstroke, they painted not just a picture, but a future. Jamal's heart raced, the rhythm of hope beating louder as he embodied the voice for change. But as he turned back toward the crowd filled with diverse faces, he wondered, would they have the courage to keep the colors alive beyond today, standing side by side, or fading back into silence? The music from a nearby speaker danced through the air, vibrant melodies weaving around the laughter and chatter that filled the fairgrounds. Jamal felt the infectious rhythm running beneath his skin. It was time to lean into the energy and let his nerves melt away. He took a deep breath, focused on Sarah, and smiled. "Let us get everyone involved," he called out, waving to a group of children who were admiring Sarah's artwork. They came bounding over like excited puppies, eager to play a part in the day's events. Jamal guided them toward a blank canvas set up nearby, encouraging them to create their own masterpieces alongside Sarah's art. As they splashed color onto the canvas, Sarah's eyes sparkled. The joy of sharing her passion ignited something within her. It was breathtaking to witness. Jamal caught Sarah's gaze. A silent acknowledgement passing between them today was about hope, not just for them, but for everyone. Children giggled, shrieks of delight rippling through the crowd as paintbrushes dipped and swirled on the canvas. Their laughter ignited a chain reaction, drawing more families in. Jamal's heart soared, watching Sarah's work inspire creation in others. But just as the atmosphere felt electric with possibility, he noticed the group of boys again, huddled together, their expressions twisted with disbelief. "Look at them. They think they're artists now," one of them sneered. The laughter from their side was dark, cutting through the laughter like a knife. Jamal's heart sank, doubt creeping in once more. What if their negativity cast a shadow on this beautiful day? With determination, Jamal walked closer to Sarah. "We've got to make sure they see this for what it really is," he murmured. She nodded. "You're right. They'll never understand if we let them take the joy away." Gathering his words, Jamal turned back to the crowd, the energy of the day swelling inside him. "Hey everyone, let us show them what true community looks like." He felt the surge of support wash over him. A collective cheer rose, passion in every outgoing voice. The boys stood motionless, confusion written across their faces. They weren't used to being met with solidarity, especially in the face of their mockery. Jamal felt the tide turn as families began chanting Sarah's name. "Sarah! Sarah! Sarah!" The echo echoed across the fairgrounds, drowning out the whispers of the naysayers. Jamal glanced at Sarah, the glow of the community's unity reflected in her eyes. Her smile bore the weight of significance, and he knew they were weaving threads that would hold this community together. But just then, a sudden silence fell over the crowd. All eyes diverted to the entrance of the fairgrounds, where a figure appeared, tall and imposing. Principal Anderson, the school administrator who had often overlooked their struggles. He stood there, arms crossed, scanning the joyous scene. Jamal's stomach dropped. He could see in the principal's expression that the man wasn't smiling. It felt like a thundercloud had rolled in, darkening the vibrant atmosphere. What would he say? Would this day take a turn they hadn't prepared for? As the seconds dragged on, Jamal could feel his heart racing again, adrenaline flooding his veins. Would Principal Anderson stifle their hope? Or would he recognize this moment as something special? Anxiously, Jamal held onto Sarah's hand, ready for whatever might come next. The moment felt charged with uncertainty, and as he locked eyes with the principal, he braced himself. What would happen when their eyes met? Would this day be remembered for its light, or swallowed in darkness? Principal Anderson's gaze roamed over the sea of faces, searching for trouble amidst the balloons of laughter and the glint of paint on canvas. Jamal felt a knot of worry tighten in his chest. Would this man dampen the spirit they had worked so hard to cultivate? With a sharp intake of breath, the principal stepped forward, his demeanor still taut as a drawn bowstring. The crowd hushed, uncertainty hanging thick in the air. Jamal's grip on Sarah's hand tightened. He could feel her trembling slightly beside him. Principal Anderson, look, Sarah called out, her voice breaking the silence. She gestured toward the children splashing colors around, enraptured by the joy of creativity. Everyone is so happy. This is what art community can do. The principal's brows furrowed, and for a brief moment, Jamal thought he saw a flicker of concern cross his face. But it was quick, lost under his stoic expression. And what is this? He asked, his voice steady but laced with the weight of authority. The air felt electric, a current of anticipation running through the spectators. Jamal took a step forward, feeling the urge to defend what they had created. It's not just painting, he said, his words bubbling up fiercely. We're building something bigger. Look around. We're together as a community, as friends. This is hope brought to life. An uneasy silence followed, the tension palpable. The boys who had mocked earlier now stood awkwardly behind Jamal, absorbed in the scene unfolding. It seemed even they were caught off guard, unsure of how to react. Principal Anderson held Jamal's gaze. Hope, he repeated slowly, almost tasting the word. Is this really what you think? Before Jamal could respond, a young girl, no more than 6, approached the principal hesitantly. She clutched a glimmer of bright blue paint on her fingers. Mister, look, she said, eyes wide with innocence. We're making something beautiful, just like we can all be beautiful together. A ripple of awe flowed through the crowd. Jamal watched the principal's posture soften slightly. Maybe this wasn't the reaction he had braced for. Yet before hope could fully blossom, a low murmur from the crowd turned Jamal's heart. He saw the boys shifting their weight from foot to foot, exchanging glances among themselves. But then, a much louder voice cut through the tension. This is rubbish. One of them shouted defiantly, You think you can just create art, and it changes anything? A wave of gasps echoed from the audience. Jamal looked down at the ground. Anticipation and doubt painfully knotted in his chest. Would this day dismantle into yet another fight? But Sarah, her face flushed with determination, stepped ahead. Yes, we can, she declared, her voice fierce and unwavering. Art brings us together. It helps us understand each other. You just have to open your heart. The principal's expression wavered, and in a brief moment, Jamal saw a flicker of something deeper in his eyes, a potential for connection. Hearts began to beat faster, the atmosphere charged with a mixture of hope and apprehension. Just as Jamal felt the tide of change building, the principal spoke once more. You may have enthusiasm, but I need to remind you that the art program at school isn't just a plaything. It's a responsibility. The anticipation crackled. Jamal could almost hear the internal struggle in the man's voice. Would he stifle them or embrace this moment? Jamal took a deep breath, feeling something stir inside him. Could he sway the principal? Could he turn this moment into something positive? Maybe it's time for a new responsibility, Jamal proposed, stepping forward, to guide kids like us, not bring them down. The crowd waited on pins and needles, breath caught, eyes scanning each other's faces for hope. Would the principal step into the light? Or would this moment fade into disappointment? All eyes fixed on Principal Anderson, Jamal's heart thudded as he realized the outcome was still in the air. What would his next words be? Would their dreams find a new path, or were they about to enter a storm? The silence stretched, each heartbeat echoing in Jamal's ears as he held his breath, willing Principal Anderson to see the beauty in front of him. The principal's gaze drifted back over the children, splattered with paint, their faces radiant with joy. It was a stark contrast to his own rigid demeanor, almost like two worlds colliding. After what felt like an eternity, the principal finally spoke. "I can appreciate the effort," he began slowly, "but we have rules for a reason." He hesitated, glancing between the youngsters and Jamal, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "Art can't replace discipline. It can't be the sole focus of our education." A wave of disappointment washed over Jamal, heavy and cold. Was this the fate of something so pure? But Sarah stepped closer, her voice steady. "But, sir, it is part of our education. It teaches us to express ourselves, to understand each other. It gives us hope." Their eyes met principal and student locked in an unyielding standoff. Jamal felt a surge of courage bubbling up inside him. This wasn't just about art. It was about their very existence and the unique perspective they brought to the world. "What if we could show you?" Jamal proposed, an idea igniting within him. "We can organize a community project, one where the kids can create and learn and even teach each other. You could see its impact and how it could fit right into our school's mission." The crowd murmured softly in agreement. Principal Anderson's expression was inscrutable, but Jamal sensed a crack in his stern facade, a tiny window of reconsideration. "I appreciate your enthusiasm," the principal finally said. His voice was measured, cautious. "But organizing something like that isn't simple. There are safety protocols, permissions, then let us tackle it together," Sarah interjected, her eyes shining with determination. "We'll handle everything. We're ready, and we believe in this." Jamal felt a wave of unity wash over him. The uncertainty of the crowd was morphing into something stronger, hope mixed with urgency. Others began echoing Sarah's sentiment, voices rising in chorus, outlining plans and possibilities, challenging the boundaries the principal had outlined just moments before. Principal Anderson's brow furrowed deeper as he observed their energy. Jamal could nearly see the gears turning in his mind. It could still lead to chaos, you understand? Not everyone is ready to accept this. His voice trailed off, and Jamal seized the moment. "But Mr. Anderson, isn't chaos sometimes the birthplace of something beautiful? If we try now, with care, maybe we can find a way for it to fit." The principal seemed to take a step back, almost retreating into himself, as if confronting emotions he hadn't prepared for. Jamal felt the crowd's anticipation swell. They were all wrestling with the hope that their principal might finally see the shimmer of possibility. After what felt like an agonizing pause, Anderson's shoulders relaxed slightly. "Maybe if you can prove it can work, I can reconsider." There it was, a faint glimmer of approval. Jamal's heart raced, not just at the principal's words, but at the weight they carried. It was a challenge, but they had a way forward. "Let us do this," Jamal declared, a fierce smile breaking across his face. "We can show you what art can truly do." A ripple of excitement passed through the crowd, and Jamal could sense the shift. They were moving beyond mere hope into action. As the murmurs swelled into laughter and shouts of plans, Jamal felt an overwhelming rush of determination. This was just the beginning. But the moment was punctured when one of the boys, still skeptical, shouted out, "And what if it goes wrong?" Jamal paused. What if it did? His heart fluttered with uncertainty. Would they be able to pull it off? He could feel every eye on him, waiting for an answer that could either lift them higher or bring them crashing down. "Then we learn," he answered, conviction steadying his voice. "We learn and we try again." The crowd seemed to breathe in unison, a moment of collective realization settling like a warm blanket over them. Jamal felt the weight of their faith, but he also knew the path ahead was fraught with challenges. That night, as he lay in bed, he could only wonder, would they really be able to convince the entire school to embrace something new? And would Principal Anderson truly support them? Or was this just an empty promise hanging on the edge? Tomorrow would reveal the answers. Jamal woke up the next morning with a knot of excitement and nerves in his stomach. He sat up in bed, glancing out the window where the sky was a brilliant shade of blue, the soft sunlight filtering through the trees. Today was different. Today was the day they would present their project to the rest of the school, a chance to take the first step toward change. As he rushed through breakfast, his mom caught a glimpse of his enthusiasm. "You look like someone who's about to take on the world," she said with a smile, her eyes crinkling at the corners. "Maybe I just might," he replied, the words escaping him before he could think. Could he really? At school, Jamal's heart pounded as he gathered with Sarah and the others. They crowded into the art room, surrounding a makeshift poster that explained their project, Art for All, a community engagement initiative. It felt more like a dream than a tangible plan. "We can do this, right?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with uncertainty threading through her usual confidence. "Yeah, we just have to show them how important this is." Jamal's determination felt electric. When the bell rang, they stepped into the assembly hall, a space abuzz with chatter and the shuffling of feet. Jamal could feel the air thick with anticipation. Principal Anderson stood at the front, looking more serious than ever. This was it. The crowd settled, silence washing over the room as Jamal took a deep breath. Sarah rallied beside him, her eyes sparkling with bravery. "We're here today because we believe in the power of art," Jamal began, his voice steady despite the tremor of his hands. He locked eyes with the principal, who stood like a statue, yet there was a flicker of curiosity in his expression. "Our project is about bringing everyone together, students, teachers, and the community. We believe art can connect us in ways we never imagined." As Jamal spoke, he could feel the energy shift in the room. Faces around him transformed from boredom into intrigue. One by one, he shared stories of the kids who had already started painting murals around the playground, where laughter mixed with splashes of color. Each brushstroke is a piece of their story, their joy. Feeling emboldened, he continued, "And through this project, we can give others the chance to tell their stories too. We want to show you that it's more than just guidelines. It's about hope, about knowing we matter." A ripple of whispers erupted when he mentioned the potential for community art exhibitions, allowing families to showcase their creativity. It was as if he could see doors beginning to swing open. When Jamal stepped back, he caught sight of Principal Anderson, who seemed taken aback, his brows frowning, and then lifting a blend of frustration and reluctant respect. "That all sounds very ambitious," he finally said, voice heavy with doubt. "But there are risks involved." Sarah piped in, "But if we're careful, we can manage the risks. We can have parents involved, partner with local artists. We just want a chance." The assembly hall buzzed again, students started nodding, some whispering their agreement. Jamal felt hope swelling inside him, a shared electricity igniting the crowd. Yet, just then, a sharp voice sliced through the air. "But what about the kids who can't do this? Those who are shy or have trouble expressing themselves?" It was Matt, a classmate known for being blunt. In that instant, the atmosphere shifted. Jamal's heart stuttered. Doubts began to slither in. What about those kids? Would they be left behind? Taking a moment, he gathered himself. "That's exactly why we need to do this," he said, passion rising in his chest. "Art should be for everyone, and we'll find ways to support each other. We'll create an inclusive space where everyone can share." The word everyone hung in the air, and for a brief moment, Jamal sensed a tentative agreement forming among the students. Principal Anderson rubbed his temple, visibly wrestling with the weight of their words. "I'll need time to think this over," he replied, his voice deeper, heavy with contemplation. "But I can't promise anything." Jamal felt an ache in his chest. They had come so far, and yet the finish line felt as distant as ever. As the assembly wrapped up, Jamal noticed Sarah's brow furrowed in thought. "We can't give up. We have to keep pushing," she urged him. But in that individual moment, Jamal felt the weight of leadership pushing down on him. Could he really pave the way forward? The question hung in the air like a cloud. What would come next? Would they find the strength to push through? The days following the assembly felt like a suspended animation for Jamal. Each morning, he woke up with hope churning in his stomach, but as soon as he stepped into school, that hope wrestled with anxiety. He couldn't shake the words of Principal Anderson from his mind. "I can't promise anything." Those words echoed louder each time he walked through the halls, and with every glance at Sarah, he felt the heavy responsibility pressing down. During lunch, seated with Sarah and the others, The cafeteria buzzed with chatter that felt misleadingly normal. Jamal absent-mindedly pushed his pasta around on his plate, his mind far from the food in front of him. "Do you think he'll actually consider it?" he asked, staring out at the sea of students, some laughing, some busy scrolling through their phones. Sarah shrugged, biting her lip. "I don't know, but we've got to show him we mean business. Maybe we could draft a petition or something." That sparked something in Jamal. "Yeah, if we can show the interest and support of the whole school, we might just make him see it. Art can't just be an idea. It has to be alive, right?" As the lunch bell rang, they decided to make time to meet after school. An hour of brainstorming resulted in a rough plan. "We'll make posters, gather signatures, and hold an art showcase to get kids excited," Sarah said, energized. But then, a shadow passed over Jamal's excitement. "What if Matt is right?" he finally admitted, his voice softer now. "What if we can't reach everyone? What if there are kids who want to express themselves, but just don't know how?" "Jamal, that's why we'll create art workshops. We can have the upperclassmen mentor younger kids, and we could showcase their art too. We just have to keep pushing and find ways," Sarah reminded him. The next morning, Jamal rose with a renewed sense of purpose. He had a plan. During homeroom, he approached Ms. Thompson, their art teacher, and laid out their vision. "Ms. Thompson, we want to create art workshops where everyone can come together. It can lift spirits," he said, his voice steady. Her eyes lit up. "I love that. Art is for everyone indeed. Let us get the logistics in place. If you need a space, I can help arrange it." His heart soared as they brainstormed, ideas flowing like a river after a storm. Before long, the hallways were decorated with bright posters announcing their initiative. "Art for all, join the movement," it exclaimed in bold letters. They became ambassadors, spreading the word and gathering supporters. The day of the first art workshop was buzzing with excitement. Every student, from the shyest to the most outgoing, brought their supplies to the art room. Jamal stood at the entrance, welcoming each one warmly. He loved seeing hesitant smiles grow into bright beams of joy as they entered the vibrant room. Then came a moment that knocked the breath right out of him. A girl named Mia, known for her quiet demeanor and obvious shyness, approached. She held a sketchpad close to her chest, her eyes darting around nervously. Jamal bent down to meet her gaze. "Hey, Mia, you're here to draw?" She nodded, her cheeks flushing. "Yeah, but I'm not good at it." "Guess what? It's not about being perfect. It's about sharing how you feel." He nodded encouragingly, feeling the warmth spreading in the room. Mia took a deep breath and opened her sketchpad. As the afternoon unfolded, colors splashed across canvases, laughter blended with chatter, and art transformed the space. The tension that had clouded Jamal began to lift with each new creation taking form. But then news spread through the workshop like wildfire. A school district representative was coming to visit. Jamal's heart raced. Would their efforts be enough? Could this dream really become reality? With anticipation rising in his chest, Jamal knew he had to remain steadfast. Their journey was far from over. He just hoped they could prove how art could indeed change lives. Would they be able to secure the support they needed to take this exciting project to the next level? The thrill of possibility hung in the air, and, for Jamal, everything depended on what happened next. Jamal hardly slept that night. His mind raced with thoughts about the upcoming visit from the school district representative. The art workshop had sparked something incredible, but now he felt pressure boiling over. What if they failed to impress? What if this was just a fleeting moment, a spark that would flicker out before it could ignite anything real? The next day came too quickly. He arrived at school earlier than usual, buzzing with nerves. As he walked through the halls, the posters they had made seemed to leap out at him, bold and vibrant against the dull walls. Art for all now felt like a bold promise, and the weight of that promise settled heavily on his shoulders. In the art room, Jamal caught sight of Mia. She was working on her piece, a serene landscape filled with trees and a sunset, colors blending seamlessly on her canvas. He could see the joy in her eyes, something he hoped would remain even when their guests arrived. "Wow, Mia, that looks amazing," he exclaimed, and her cheeks blossomed with pride. "Thanks. I didn't know I could do this," she replied, a mix of confidence and surprise in her voice. Jamal grinned, feeling proud of how far she had come. Soon, the room began filling with students, each carrying their own splash of creativity. The chatter grew louder, excitement bubbling like a pot ready to boil over. Jamal moved around, making sure everyone felt welcomed, knowing just how important this moment was for each of them. "Okay, everyone, listen up," he called out, trying to project over the noise. "Our special visitor will be here soon. Let us show them how talented and passionate we are. Remember, this is about expressing ourselves and our belief in art." A roar of encouragement followed, the energy palpable as the clock ticked. Jamal couldn't shake the feeling of dread that was creeping in, tightening around his heart. What if the representative only saw chaos? What if they focused only on imperfection? He forced himself to take a deep breath and put those doubts aside, at least until the visiting adults arrived. When the door creaked open and Principal Anderson stepped in with a few district representatives, a hush fell over the room. Jamal's heart raced. He could see the curious expressions on the adults' faces, and he desperately hoped they could sense the warmth and passion swirling around them. "Wow, look at all this talent," one of the visitors said, surveying the lively room. Jamal's heart fluttered momentarily at the words, but doubt wormed its way back in. They were just kind words. Would they translate into action? As the representatives walked around, chatting with students and observing their artwork, Jamal caught snippets of conversation. "This is what our students need, a space to express themselves. Fantastic initiative." Each word injected a little more confidence into him. But in the midst of it all, his gaze landed back on Mia. She was engrossed in her world, intent on her painting. He noticed a flicker of concern in her eyes as she glanced at the adults, her nerves clearly visible. Instinctively, Jamal walked over to her. "Mia, just remember, they're here to see your heart, not just your art," he whispered with a reassuring smile. She nodded, though the worry lingered. Just then, one of the district representatives approached them. "What is this piece about?" she asked, facing Mia. Jamal held his breath, waiting for Mia to respond, feeling an intensifying mix of pride and anxiety. Would she find her voice in that moment? Mia hesitated, but then something shifted. She took a deep breath and spoke, her voice steady. "This is a place where I can feel free. It reminds me of home, where everything feels safe." Jamal's heart swelled with admiration. This was the moment they had all hoped for, the moment of true connection. But as the representative listened, Jamal felt an electricity crackle through the air. Could this workshop be the turning point for all of them? Was this where their journey would truly begin? With the weight of her words hanging in the air, Jamal's hope flickered brightly, and he eagerly anticipated what was to come. Mia's words hung in the air, wrapping around the room like a gentle embrace. Jamal watched as the representative leaned in, genuinely engaged. He could see the shift in Mia's posture, her shoulders relaxing slightly as she spoke about her piece. It was as if the collective weight of self-doubt began to lift, and a new energy surged through the room. The representative nodded, a smile forming on her lips. "That is beautiful, Mia. It sounds like this piece is very personal to you," she encouraged, her eyes sparkling with understanding. Mia's gaze sparkled back, a glimmer of confidence igniting within her. Hearing this made Jamal's heart race with hope. Maybe this was more than just an art workshop. Maybe it could be a lifeline. He couldn't help but smile at Mia, feeling grateful for the brave spirit she was showing. After all, this was what they had worked so hard for. As the visitors continued their tour, Jamal realized how much he had underestimated the impact of their hard work. Some students were chatting animatedly about their pieces, proudly explaining their inspirations. It was as if the whole room had transformed into a vibrant tapestry of talent and expression. Jamal felt a swell of pride in seeing how art had set them free. "Can you show me how you did that?" a young girl asked an older student, her wide eyes filled with curiosity. Jamal grinned, watching the excitement ripple through the crowd. The fear he'd felt earlier was being overshadowed by the collaborative energy blossoming in the room. However, in the back of his mind, dread lingered. What if, despite all this passion, they still missed the mark? What if this connection they were building simply faded with time? Jamal's thoughts spiraled again, but he fought against them. They had come too far to let uncertainty ruin this moment. Suddenly, a loud whisper drew his attention. "I can't do this," someone muttered. It was one of the quieter students, sitting alone at the edge of the room, their canvas untouched. Jamal's heart sank as he recognized the defeated look on their face. He stepped closer. "Hey, what's wrong? What if they don't like what I made?" The student murmured, their voice trembling. Jamal knelt beside them, his confidence faltering, but he held it firm. They're here to see you, he said softly. Not just what you've created. Art is about who you are and what you feel. Just try to show them your heart, like Mia did. As if that simple encouragement had flipped a switch, the student looked up, their expression shifting to contemplation. Jamal hoped that his words would ignite a tiny spark. They lifted their paintbrush tentatively, starting to move it across the canvas. Around them, the room pulsed with chatter and laughter, but Jamal's focus remained on this moment. Each brushstroke felt like a small victory. Just as hope filled the air, one of the representatives approached, eyeing the unfinished canvas with interest. What do you want to say with this piece? She asked gently. Jamal held his breath again, wondering if the student would find the same courage Mia had. The student took a deep breath. Jamal felt a sense of urgency. This workshop wasn't just a project. It was a chance to change lives. Each person in this room held a story waiting to be told. Jamal glanced at Mia, and she caught his eye, pride shining between them. But then, without warning, the bells of the school rang, marking the end of the session too soon. Jamal felt his heart lurch. Would all their efforts fizzle out as quickly as they had sparked? As the visitors began to gather their things, Jamal felt a mix of determination and desperation. There was still time to solidify what had been started today. He stood tall, squarely facing the visitors, wanting to make one final push. Wait, he called out, his voice steady. Can we share a few words before you leave? Would they listen? Would they understand the importance of what happened here? Would this day mark the beginning of a new chapter for all of them? The uncertain silence was deafening, and Jamal's breath hitched, wondering if he would find the right words. Jamal's heart raced as he stood at the front of the art room, eyes searching for affirmation from his friends. They looked back at him, a mix of encouragement and worry reflected in their gazes. Clenching his fists, he pushed through the tension in his chest. This was a chance not just for him, but for everyone in that room. Today, he started, feeling the weight of all their hopes. We've shown what art can do for us. It's not just paint and canvas. It's love, connection, understanding. He lifted his hands, gesturing toward the masterpieces surrounding them. Everyone here came with a story, a piece of their heart. This isn't just a workshop. It's a movement. A murmur of agreement rippled through the bystanders. He glanced quickly at Sarah, who stood behind him, her eyes wide with excitement. Seeing her energy fueled him further. He took a deep breath. We need your support to keep this hope alive. If we can transform this school, we can do it for our community. We can open doors for every kid, those who paint, those who write, and even those too afraid to share. Jamal paused, eyes scanning the representatives. He didn't want them to just see creativity, they needed to see potential, the ability for this whole initiative to grow into something impactful. His words hung in the air like a challenge, daring them to understand the truth he and the others lived. Then, out of nowhere, one of the representatives, a young woman with kind eyes, stepped forward, a thoughtful expression on her face. What you're doing is remarkable, she said. But how can we ensure this movement lasts? Jamal felt a flicker of fear. He hadn't thought that far ahead. But instinct kicked in. Build a coalition. Involve local artists, community leaders, and even the kids who feel lost at school. Let us create a safe space for all. He could see others nodding along, the room vibrating with a shared sense of purpose. The representative's brow furrowed with contemplation. That's an excellent idea. But can your team handle the responsibility? Before he could comment, Mia's voice chimed in, unwavering and passionate. We already are. We're learning together. Just look at how the students here have supported each other. She gestured around the room, excitement pouring from her features. Art isn't just about the talented. It's about who we are. With every word, Jamal felt hope surge brighter. They were on the edge of something big, together. Suddenly, one of the other representatives, a stern man who had been quiet thus far, spoke up. These are important ideas, but you need structure, accountability, and a plan to sustain this project. Jamal's heart pounded, but he nodded. We're ready to learn, he declared, feeling the beautiful camaraderie from their group wallop around him. We can work on proposals, gather signatures, even research how other schools have done this. We'll put in the work. I like your drive, the stern man conceded, offering a hint of a smile. Let us see what you can do with this energy. I'll be watching closely. As the school bell rang again, signaling the end of the day, Jamal felt a swell of momentum carry them forward. The representatives began to pack up, but now it was different. There was potential written all over their faces. Jamal turned back to his friends, who were beaming with pride. "Did we really just do that?" he asked, hardly able to believe it. Sarah laughed, her joy infectious. "We did. We have a real chance now, Jamal." And at that moment, all the collective doubts washed away like paint splattered into the sky. They knew they could not only make an impact, but inspire a movement that would ripple through their community, spreading color where shadows once seemed to loom. The energy of excitement bubbled and swirled a phoenix rising from all their fears. Jamal felt a sense of belonging anchored deep within him, a fierce belief that they could change lives through art and love. They could celebrate their differences, teach one another, and become a family bound by creativity. "The next step is up to us," Jamal stated confidently. "This is just the beginning." Everyone nodded enthusiastically, hearts beating together with the harmony of change as the sun dipped low in the sky. A warm glow washed over the room, filling them all with the warmth of hope and determination. And for the first time in a long time, everything felt just right. They were ready. A wave of possibility washed over them as they realized the journey ahead would be the most beautiful masterpiece. YET.SO. How about you? If this incredible journey resonated with you and you believe in the power of change, you need to subscribe now. Hit that button and join our community in the next adventure. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, so we can keep sharing stories that inspire transformation. Comment below about what this ending meant to you. We want to hear your reactions and feelings. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see their own transformation. Together, let's spread this message far and wide.